Episode brought to you by Paleomagnetic Pyroxidine by Switch. Switch is a returning sponsor of the show that you might remember as the inventors of the pan-inverse phased attraction unit. Well, buckle up, because Paleomagnetic Pyroxidine is one product you absolutely can't live without. Switch has taken your feedback and has finally created the answer to polar wing timing units that can't be demagnetized. Now, with Paleomagnetic Pyroxidine, you can simply expose your timing units to 4/5 of a normal cyanobalamin and come out on top. Magnetic North, that is. We kid. That's a little Cartonine joke for you. Paleomagnetic Pyroxidine, or PP for short, can even solve your most stubborn flip-on Signartini issues with surprising flatulence. Ion Zillwhoppers are Revo Scion Whippy Fling Bill Moffatized to whop all over your boot skillers. Just slap that PP around a bit, and all demagnetization errors will come full circle. Paleomagnetic Pyroxidine by Switch, for when you absolutely need to know exactly what's going on. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Your panel of expert hosts each week are Dr. Bryce Hansen, who holds a PhD in spookology, and Professor David Day, the foremost expert in scare no-nos. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Horrible. I'm David Day.
Yeah, I'm Bryce Hansen.
You guys, we got a great episode for you today. You need to stick around for the end of the show for some reasons, which I'll divulge right now. Ben Warrington is a fan from across the pond who has some podcast experience. He's got that super sexy English voice, and he's reading horror movie news for us. And he'll probably be back, barring some tragic accident that I would never wish on anyone. So, with that, you guys should check out our website at horrormovietalk.com. From there, you can find links to all of our social media, including Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, the Gram, Reddit. All of those and more you can find on our website. That's horrormovietalk.com. We post new episodes every single Wednesday. So subscribe and leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, because that really helps us out more than you know.
Yeah, I mean, every time we get a new rating, even if you don't leave a review, it jumps us up in the charts. So we were completely off the charts, and then we got a review, and we're in the low 100s.
We're back on top, baby! So like I said, we've got a great show for you here today. We will be talking about The Turning, which is a new take on an old classic, The Turn of the Screw, the 1898 spook tale from, I think, a man named Henry James. You'll learn about that coming up. But we'll start off this show by giving a brief review and score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge, where it makes you angry you had to watch it, 5 being an average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good that it transcends genre boundaries and should probably win an award, but it won't, because it's a horror movie. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. And later in the show, you got to stick around, because we'll be doing It Came From Social Media, where we talk about all you lovely people who reached out to us over the week, as well as, like I said, horror movie news with Ben Warrington, who has a super sexy English voice. We should probably get him to do like sexy things with his voice. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I don't know, what can you do that's sexy with your voice? Like talk real breathy. Make a little come hither sounds like, oh, I'm touching myself right now. Yeah, we'll make him do that next time. So as I said, we went and
oil me up, Daddy.
Keep on going. As I said, we'll start out by giving, we went and saw The Turning in theaters, and it's got a ton of jump scares, some great acting, but it is hamstrung by a script that never had a clue where it was going, despite having a very clear and high quality roadmap of the story that it was based upon, The Turn of the Screw. So with that, let's listen to the trailer.
Have you ever been a nanny?
This is my first live-in job.
Well, I hope you know what you're doing. The children are very special, Kate. They're thoroughbreds.
Geez, your friends must love it here.
I have no friends.
You have no friends?
Yep.
Well, you have one now.
Maybe.
May I ask how the parents died?
Well,
Miles?
Nothing should have to suffer. It's not that simple.
I don't go in that part of the house.
Why not?
Don't wanna.
Hello?
You shouldn't be in here.
What happened to your last nanny?
Like I'd tell.
You need to take charge here, Kate. I know what you're afraid of. Keeping the lights on won't keep you safe.
Can you please stop?
You're gonna leave me, aren't you?
I'm not going anywhere.
Promise, promise?
Cross my heart and hope to die.
Everyone dies, Miles.
Did you see them? I don't want to play anymore. Hey! Why are you doing this?
Stop now.
We're not safe!
Stop giving tales.
Bad dreams?
Creepy children laugh.
While I have never read the 1898 novella, The Turn of the Screw by Henry James, I have a feeling that it would not lend itself to the silver screen without a fair amount of changes to the original story to make it more appealing for audiences today.
I don't know. I disagree. This has been adapted several times.
Yes, it has been adapted several times. And that's exactly my point. I'm getting there.
Okay.
After having read some briefs and synopsises of the novella, this movie mimics it almost point for point. It does not adapt anything, really. It just kind of almost just throws it all out there in the exact same fashion that the book does. And that's not really for a good adaptation. That does not make a good.
I disagree.
Oh, so you like this movie?
I don't like this movie.
Oh, okay.
But I disagree that it did the book justice. I also have not read it, but Aaron
I'm not
has.
saying it did it justice. I'm saying this is a poor adaptation because they didn't change very much.
No, I think it's a poor adaptation because they changed some very, very important things.
Yes, they did. They also did that, but I think a short story can be made into a good movie very easily, and this is not an example of that. This is not an example.
We'll get into that in spoilers and talk about that, the specifics of it, because there's some very table stakes stuff that they needed to get right for it to pull off the entire premise of the story. And They completely fucked it up.
Yeah, that's. I think we're saying the same thing, but in different ways. We have a young teacher, Kate, played by Mackenzie Davis, who is hired at a palatial estate to teach and govern a young child named Flora, who's played by the wonderful Brooklyn Prince. She's a very good child actress. There is one other inhabitant on the grounds when she gets there, Mrs. Gross, who is the cook and kind of live-in maid. After a short time, Flora's teenage brother, Miles, played by the very recognizable and accomplished actor Finn Wolfhard, appears following being expelled from school. He's quickly set up to be the antagonist of the story, seemingly very crude, lewd, and rapey.
So I can talk about more of this in the spoilers, but I'm going to say this is one of the things that they got wrong. Finn Wolfhard, and
Yeah, they set him up inappropriately.
I don't want to shit on a child actor. Is he of age yet? Is he 18? Anyways,
maybe
like,
not.
I do not like what he did with the character or what the director did with the character. I don't know who to blame.
This is the script.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not his fault.
I don't necessarily think it's the script either. It's specifically the choices made. So here's my problem. They try to, the script sounds like it's trying to do one thing, and then the acting and directing is doing something completely different. So what that character is supposed to be is very spoiled and like upper crust, detached. Mm-hmm. And so it should be just like a spoiled rich boy that has power over the governess or whatever. Like she's beholden to this kid. What they actually go is like full on like sociopath rapist.
Yeah, but that's the script. I mean, it's not a choice that Finn Wolfhard made. It was just it was just like that was the direction he was given.
I know. I think the direction was wrong. I could see the exact same script, the exact same lines played a different way, which would have made it more interesting to me.
I mean, the editing suggests otherwise because it was very much set up to. I mean, he was the antagonist,
right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, anyway,
I don't know who to blame, but I'm just saying they got that character wrong.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff wrong. The story of Kate then unravels itself in shockingly slow motion that is fraught with the most exhausting bevy of jump scares and twisty-turny bullshit that I can recall. The ghost of the previous teacher is hanging around, and the ghost of her killer, Miles' friend, Quint, is also hanging around. I would be lying if I told you I understood what exactly there was to be scared of in this story. I believe The Turn of the Screw was originally a very well-written, spooky ghost story. This movie is not adapted well to the big screen, probably because it didn't expand much on the original novella. The acting was actually pretty good, in my opinion, especially from both child actors, and the setting was pretty effective as well. The script, in my opinion, was the real issue here, as there is nothing around for it to hang its head on and make it memorable or interesting. A better version of roughly this same story is found in 2018's The Little Stranger. The Little Stranger understood ambiguity and how to use it. Is the main character losing his mind, or is this place haunted? I think ambiguity is what the source material for this movie is about, and it's replaced in The Turning by just confusion. Just like,
yeah.
I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm dreaming, I'm not. Is this the end of the movie? No, maybe it is. I don't know. Like, it's just a big confusing mess, and instead of being ambiguous and making you question the sanity of the person, it's just this big cavalcade of like spaghetti thrown at a wall and trying to stick.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because for the most part, like it relies on these. I mean, it's pretty played out to say like to blame jump scares or say like jump scares are played out, but I mean, it really is just using that effect.
Yeah.
Way too much in times that it doesn't need to.
Yeah. It's exhausting.
And very early on. Like it completely blows its load. At the very beginning of the movie, you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, why would you start out with that?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I forgot what I was going to say.
It's a confusing set of choices, for sure. I mean, it's clear that the bones are there,
right?
You know? It's
so,
just,
oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, it had, for the most part, the attempts for jump scares or the scare stuff fell flat. I was like, okay, come on, let's get through this. It just, the first half of the movie is very interesting, but I will say there are some moments that were very effective for me.
Yeah.
Like
same here.
There's some really good, like, unique setups that I thought were very effective. The scene where with the flashlight in the creepy part where the flashlight gets stolen, that was great. Like
that
that's
was upsetting. There was a scene where someone is drowning in a pool, and that scared me. You know, I thought a little kid was drowning, and that was effective. But then it just kept going back to these mechanics over and over again, and doing the same thing. And while and the end result was just me being tired with the movie,
right,
and just frustrated and like, okay, can we be? It's like a roller coaster that does the same trick over and over and over again, and by the time you're done, you're like, can we be done with the loop-de-loops, please? I just want to get off.
Yeah, I think I agree. The bones are there. There are some good moments.
Yeah,
it's not terrible, but they completely fucked up.
Yeah,
what they were trying to do. Like, and you could tell at the end, because I was thinking, like, I know what the turn of the screw is trying to go for. It's very much about ambiguity and saying, is this happening or not?
Yeah.
And very early on in the movie, I feel like they completely established this is actually happening.
Right.
These are ghosts. They're attacking this lady.
Right.
And then at the end, they're like,
nope.
But are they?
Nope.
And I was just like, what?
Yeah, I really do think that The Little Stranger, while not as exciting, is a better execution of this same premise.
Yeah, The Little Stranger feels like this type of story. Very English.
Yeah.
Very, like, kind of weird, spooky, like a, what's it called? Like a Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, kind of
like a Dickensian version of a ghost story. Mm-hmm. And that's what The Turning of the Screw was. It was written around the same time.
The Turn of the Screw.
The Turn of the Screw. And, it just didn't work. So I would completely agree with your score, actually.
Yeah.
I came out, and so we'll say
4 out of 10 across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, there are elements of this that bring it into above a 5, but they're just weighed down so much and mired in so much weird baloney. It's tiring.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that is our score. You guys let us know what you think on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever. Before we get into spoilers, I have some big, huge, crazy, cool news. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So I was made aware by several of our very dedicated fans, that Apple iTunes has now, like, officially within their devices made the change to Apple Podcasts. Yes, I know it's been in the process, but here's the specific discovery that they made that's of note. It's true. And what comes with an opportunity for you to show us, and what comes with this is an opportunity for you to show us even more love. If you want to give us a new review, give it a shot. Even if you've already done it, apparently you can review us again through Apple Podcast.
Okay.
This has been told to me by several people now.
Are you talking about Biggin?
Not just him. There's another friend of mine who was like, hey, I was able to rate you guys, and it seems to count on iTunes and podcasts. So I don't know if it's officially true, but it sounds true. And if you guys want to give us some love, we always appreciate the reviews on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. So give it a shot on both of those if you have an Apple device. Of course, one of the best ways to support the show, probably the best way, is to become a Patreon on Patreon. Patreon.com/horror movie talk. And you can check out all of our tiers. We have a whole nother podcast, a whole different podcast where we leave the mics running after the show and we talk about what's been going on in our day. You know, there's some hot poop talk. There's all kinds of, good, pithy, substantive stuff over there. And we have a healthy backlog every single week since, I think, June or July.
Yeah. So I mean, it's lots of good perks. Check out the tiers. Find something that might be of interest to you. Another thing, I don't know if you mentioned, you get early access at one of the tiers to the podcast. So if you can't wait till Wednesday, you can. And the
ability to one of the higher tiers, you get the ability to vote on one movie per month on what we're going to be reviewing. So you kind of get to steer our boat a little bit.
Another way you can help us out is to go on the website and click through to Amazon.com. We usually have a link in every post to a movie or a DVD that is mentioned, or just in the heading in the banner, there's a button that says buy on Amazon. Anything you buy, like it could be kitty litter, it could be a new vacuum, could be renting a horror movie, we'll get a little taste of that.
Yeah, check out our resident artist, who I'm redubbing him King Midas, because everything this guy touches turns to fucking gold. Dustin Goebel. He is a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commission for artwork from HMT fans. Make sure to check out his Instagram over at DGOEBEL00. That on Instagram, that's dgoebel00 on Instagram. And make your artistic dreams come true. Tell him HMT sent you.
I'm going to say, like, one of the benefits of having unique artwork, not only is it just they're fantastic and funny.
It's like easy to retweet.
Like it really helps the social media. So our last episode on Crawl actually got the post on Twitter got retweeted by the Rasmussen brothers, who actually wrote the movie.
Yeah.
And Tara, I just forgot her name.
Tara Westwood.
Tara Westwood from The Grudge also liked and retweeted our article. I think it has a lot to do with the unique artwork, because they look awesome. Some of them are really funny. I love the one for Crawl. It has the gator in the background.
Yeah, Champa Champa.
Champa Champa.
Yeah, Dustin has no problem getting people to retweet his art. He has our producer's namesake, our producer Brendan, his namesake Brendan Schaub retweeted one of Dustin's pieces of art very recently, and I think it gave him a big bump. So,
yeah.
No thanks to our producer Brendan, who is not related, but yeah.
So follow him on the gram at DGOEBEL00.
Yeah.
And if you love his work and you're into supporting the arts, commission some artwork from him.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, we've got Shudder. Use code HMT at checkout to get a 30-day free trial.
Yeah, that's kind of a service to our listeners. Let's see here. I started watching. I started watching Monster Squad last night. That's
yeah?
right. It's great.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You gotta check it out. Anyway, so get on over to Shudder, use HMT at checkout, and get 30-day free trial, super fucking 7-day free trial. And with that, let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. That wasn't spoilers.
Okay.
So where the heck is this supposed to be set?
It feels like the 70s or 80s, because
it's the 90s.
Really?
Yeah, because they start the movie with Kurt Cobain dying.
Really?
Yeah, they start the movie with Kurt Cobain on the TV, but the time is early 90s. No cell phones. Kurt Cobain just died. Fine. But where on earth? Because it's set in a palatial estate.
Yeah.
A castle, basically.
Uh-huh.
And then there's a bunch of people without British accents with very American thoughts and actions, but
I feel like that's a really good question, because Finn Wolfhard doesn't have a British accent, does he?
None of them do.
None of the kids do.
I don't think even the maid doesn't really. I mean, she kind of has an affect. Yeah.
No, she has an accent. Yeah, that's a really good question. I didn't even think of that.
Is this supposed to be America, or are these just coincidentally American people living in Britain who also happen to be like lords?
I assumed that the state was in England, because that's the only place that a place like that would exist.
Yeah.
That's like a lord used to live in there. but maybe they were expats. Maybe that's what it was.
Maybe.
I mean, that would be the explanation, but she is definitely American.
This is one of those
nanny.
nitpicky things that just niggled at me the whole way through.
I honestly did not notice the time period until she got in the car to take him into town, and I'm like, that car's from like the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, is this not set in modern times? And then I realized, like, oh, they're using a cassette tape deck. Mm-hmm. Which also brings into question, like, if this was in the early 90s, were we still using cassette tapes?
I was. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was.
I guess so.
There was a solid 5 to 10 year period between like 85 and 95 where they were both very much in use.
Yeah, actually, now that I think of it, I used to listen to Adam Sandler albums on cassette tape.
What the hell happened to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
and actually, my car that I still drive
has a cassette
tape.
Yeah, they had cassette decks in cars up until like 2005.
Yeah,
it was like what?
I know it's kind of funny because you can still find places that sell cassette tapes.
Oh, they're coming back
at a deep discount.
Like they're coming back. Like all the big underground metal bands. They now offer vinyl and cassette.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes.
So, by the way,
Is that a raincoat?
It
is.
Have you thrown away the Huey Lewis and the News tapes yet?
No. What?
Have you listened to them yet?
No, I don't have a cassette deck.
Next time we go to a movie in my car, bring them because then we can play them because I still got a cassette tape.
I'm worried about that.
Why?
Because I would want to get a new cassette player because I could see like a cassette player in a car eating it up. You people forget cassettes are not a perfect media in that they can get fucked up by the thing that plays them.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's not that precious, David.
It is to me. I don't think you understand. It is to me. So yeah, don't know where this is exactly supposed to be, but the setup for Kate is it's revealed early on that she grew up without parents, and then she she grew up without a solid family unit, I should say. She has her mom, but her mom's kind of fucking crazy. She's in a loony bin?
Yeah.
A wacky bin, if you will.
And they let her just hang out in an empty pool, apparently.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a very good place to put your mom if they just let her wander around in an empty pool and do art and there's no one like supervising her.
Well, maybe that. I mean, I don't know what loony bins. That is, I think, the PC term for it as well.
Yeah,
loony bins. But I don't know what
crazy house.
Yeah, whack job holes. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what those are like.
Bonkers bin.
Bonkers bin. Thank you. Right. Retard facilities.
Retard pens. Anyways.
Yeah, so she gets a call. Kate gets a call to be a governess, and on her way to the job, to this estate, she goes to see her mom at the loony bin, that place. And so we just get an establishment that her mom's nuts.
Yeah.
Then on her drive in, there's a Shining shot.
Is there ever a horror movie that like
do we have to
drives,
do it every time?
Yeah, every time over the top.
And I'm not sure whether to be offended that a movie of this caliber is either, I can't tell if they're like reaching for that level of greatness, like they're being like, I also aspire to be The Shining with The Turning, or if it's just a nod, if it's just like, hey, Stanley Kubrick, I see you, like, you're dead, but yo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
I honestly didn't notice it.
She drives up to the house, and this house has big spooky, creepy house syndrome, hardcore.
Yeah, I think that's a feature when they sell like a mansion in England.
Comes with spooky house syndrome.
Comes with a spooky east wing.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So it comes with a wing of the house that you do not go into because it's only there to be spooky.
Yes. Now, this is one of the things that I feel like they failed me on, because right at the start of the movie, you know, she gets to the house. It's palatial. It's huge. It's got a stable and it's got a maze and it's got wings, you know.
Yeah.
My house doesn't have wings.
I know.
It just has rooms.
Yeah.
And so when she gets there, she's being shown around the house by Flora, the little girl. I really can't say enough how much I enjoyed that little girl actress. She was perfect.
Yeah, she was really good.
But anyway, so she's being shown around and the little girl's like, oh, that's the East Wing. We don't go there. Instantly, my interest was piqued. I was like, the East Wing, huh? I hope that becomes a thing. And maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. But they didn't expand on it at all. It could have been like, ooh, the East Wing, you know, and then we could have had something solid to focus on.
Right. So, I mean, they do this in like Beauty and the Beast too. Like, don't go in that way.
Yeah.
That's the blah, blah, blah. So here's the thing. I appreciated this movie until I didn't for this purpose was, they didn't go full spooky house syndrome early on. It was like, this is just an old estate.
Yeah.
And it's fancy and upper crust. And that in its own right can be kind of spooky.
Yeah.
Like it's very, very formal and off-putting. It's like, have you ever been in like your grandma's house that you know she puts plastic over the chairs?
Yes.
All the time. Mm-hmm. And like there's a baseline nervousness of like, I don't want to fuck up anything here.
Yeah.
And also I don't belong here. Like
right.
No one belongs here. Like that's a thing with like mansions that are you know, filled with antiques and stuff. But then they tack on this creepy East Wing, which is full on spooky house syndrome. Like for some reason, my favorite thing, this is the thing that stands out to me. There's one shot where she's going up to a door in the East Wing, and there's a random creepy doll, like, nailed into the wall next to the door. Like, no, it's a complete non sequitur.
Yeah.
It's like, there's just a creepy doll, like it's the doorbell.
Yeah.
To the door. Did you notice that?
I mean, there's plenty of that stuff to notice. You know, it's like mannequins, just fucking horrific looking mannequins placed all around. And
see, all that makes sense. Like even like the East Wing where there's overgrowth coming into it. There's like roots and stuff growing into a creepy cellar, kind of storage areas.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That all makes sense. Why was there a doll attached to the wall next to a door? It wasn't like on a shelf. It was literally just hanging in air first, like a doorbell.
The first rule of the East Wing is we don't talk about the East Wing, Bryce. Were you asking questions about dolls taped to walls? I don't think so.
It's just like, it's like they had the set decorators like, just make it spooky. And like, I don't know, put a doll on the wall.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers Van Patten's card to mine.
Yeah, they didn't do much with the East Wing. They had so many chances to expand on cool themes like this. Another one was Flora doesn't leave the property. This little girl is like fanatically devoted to not leaving the house or the property. And like, there was a point where I was like, oh, maybe the girl's a ghost. Like, maybe she's not real and she's just part of... Nope.
I think the reasoning is there, but they'd never explicitly say it. And I kind of wish they would, because it talks about how both their parents died in a car crash right outside of the gates.
Yes.
And so that's...
It explains
like
why.
You
but,
kind of understand, like, that's why she's scared, because she's scared that she's going to die
but
if she
you could have
leaves.
done the Others thing with it, you know? Remember the Others with Nicole Kidman? You could have done something like that. I'm just saying there's a lot of chances like the East Wing, like Flora being fanatically devoted to not leaving the property.
Right.
That they just kind of let it flop around on the floor and stuff. Anyway, then this house is just full, whether or not it's the East Wing, it is full of spooky ghost shit and mannequins, like sewing machines that start on their own and then never do that again. It's just, then there's a room filled with mannequins, and one of the mannequins has a bunch of needles stuck in its breasts. And that's shocking and weird, but we don't. Miles did that.
Miles is just a psychopath.
He's got a tacky sense of taste. He likes those needles and titties. Those sharp titties. And then there's just a bunch of ghosty shit that happens. That's
what it gets wrong. With a haunted house movie or like a haunting movie, a really important part of it is the buildup.
Yeah.
So it's questioning, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Or did something just happen, or was that explained?
Right.
I don't think there was any fake outs, like, ever in the... there was a couple where it's like, oh, it's Finn Wolfhard.
Right.
Like, it's the kid.
It's Miles.
But one of the very first things they do is, what's her name? What's the nanny's name?
Kate.
Kate closes a window and sees a spooky ghost in the reflection, like, behind the window immediately.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so
that was the ghost of the previous of the teacher who's right before.
So it's not even.
It's all literal.
They don't start out with like a creaky door or like an object that moves somewhere. I fully expected she moves that creepy ass mannequin from her room into the sewing room. Like, what most horror movies would do is like you just move the mannequin somewhere, maybe not back to her room, but like
turn it
somewhere
around
where she didn't put it.
Right.
Oh yeah, the other thing. That is another one that's like way too much, is that she turns the head of the mannequin and then it shows the shot after she leaves.
As she walks out,
the head turns back.
It whips back to look at her. And then it's never touched on again.
So here's one of the main shortcomings of this movie. There's two for me. One was, I forget his name, Finn Wolfhard's character. Miles.
Yeah.
One is the character of Miles. They go full psychopath on him.
Yeah.
Like, there's no gray area. There's no just like, this kid is spoiled and he's an asshole and making her life miserable.
Right. He's intentionally douchey and mean.
That's one that they got wrong. The second one is the whole premise of The Turn of the Screw is that it tells the story in a way that it's very ambiguous whether anything is really happening or if she's getting really affected by the seclusion and how the kids are treating her, and whether it's basically, are the kids fucking with her or is this stuff really happening?
Right.
Because it could go either way.
Yeah.
And they establish very early on that no, this is actually haunting, because they make a fundamental mistake. So at the end, they try to do that ambiguous thing, but they've
undercut themselves the whole movie.
The entire movie.
Yeah.
And it's very simple. There's a very simple reason why. And I can't believe that it got by at any point.
Yeah.
It's that if you're going to do an ambiguous movie about, is it in a person's head versus is this not happening, you can't go outside of their perspective.
Right. It has to all be their perspective.
So there's multiple points where stuff happens that Kate doesn't see it.
Yes.
So she leaves the room, the spooky mannequin turns its head. It's like
confirming that there is actual 100% spooky shit going on here. Real life spooky shit.
Yeah. Kate is not in the room.
She didn't get to witness.
She's not able to see anything. It's not like, it's not established as a dream or anything. It shows the girl.
I think they even know it.
Yeah. It shows Flora, and there's like ghost hands like feeling up her hair.
Yeah.
But it's like, if she's not there to see it, then it's not in her head.
And not only that, later on in the movie, the kid, Miles, acknowledges that, oh yeah, I know the ghosts here. Yeah, you're not going nuts. Like, I know we've been basically trying to gaslight you this whole time, but also it's all true because I'm familiar with the ghosts too, and we're in danger, real danger, because Quint is here. Like,
right.
He confirms even the existence.
I mean, even that could be explained away. It could be like she was hallucinating that.
Okay, sure.
Like that.
Yeah.
But the stuff that no one is witnessing, that it shows on camera, why would you do that?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's a mess. It doesn't know what it's trying to do, and it instead it just throws as much. It's like somebody didn't fully understand how to make the ambiguous concept work, so they just tried all the different things at once and went, well, this will fool them. And it's like, no, people are intelligent. So
the other third thing,
okay,
that's a little less that I thought fell flat was the character of Kate. She's super, super passive very early on. Like, they don't establish her as
an authority figure.
They don't establish her as authority figure, but they don't establish her as weak either.
Right.
Like, because I think she was like a school teacher before, and she came. So it's like, she's kind of older, like she's older 20s. She's not like straight out of school, it feels like.
Yeah.
And she had a job teaching kids. Like, the way they set it up, it feels like she should be able to handle a classroom or be able to handle kids and discipline and stuff. But when it comes to very, very blatant, like,
disrespect by the kids,
she does not. She just takes it.
Yeah,
because
it is a little bit of. I mean, I kind of get a little bit of that, which is, this is a weird scenario, like in every way and shape and form, which is like, she has Mrs. Gross there, who's the only other adult, and Mrs. Gross is like, you don't fucking get it, do you? Like, these kids are king. Like,
right. So yeah, and it would be effective if they
played that against
each other. If like, we have power over you, and they kind of do it a little bit.
Yeah.
But before those moments that they establish that.
Yeah, you're right.
Miles does some stuff that's just like, what? There's no adult on earth that would not address that.
Yeah.
That wouldn't say like, that's inappropriate.
Yeah.
We don't do that. So like, he shows up next to her bed,
like touching her face at
touching
night
her face
as she's sleeping.
And like, if you were any adult and a preteen to teenager came in your room and touched your face, like, you would sit up and you say like, Miles, this is inappropriate. This is my space. You need to respect that.
I've almost leveled my 3-year-old like 4 times for much less. like if you wake me up in the middle of the night, it's hell to the no, to the no, 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 hell, no, no, to the no, no, hell to the no, no. Yeah, if you wake me up in the middle of the night, there's a good chance you're going to get clocked just because of the way I'm wired, not necessarily anything like that. But yeah, my 3-year-old has done much less and come very close to a severe whooping. And if some fucking teenager did that, buddy, you're getting devastated, son. I'm coming at you out of that bed. Anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, that was the last thing that wasn't established. Like, they didn't really figure out, like, they didn't establish what they wanted to do with these characters.
I don't know
what the power dynamics were, and it kind of shifts around. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know how much of this I need to skip. We've already gone kind of blown past a lot of stuff. Basically, at the start of the movie, there's just 3 people in the house: Mrs. Gross, the little girl Flora, and Kate. And then and it's established that Miles doesn't live here. Well,
he's at boarding school.
Yeah, he's at boarding school. Well, he shows up in the middle of the night in a very creepy way, and he acts very creepy towards Kate. And then it establishes him as like this, like, he got kicked out of boarding school for being extremely violent with another child. So now there's reason to be scared of him. And then he proceeds to act like a rapist throughout the whole movie. That's not an exaggeration. He's just constantly like, I fucking love your tattoo. I want to fuck it with my everything. And she's like, what? He doesn't say those words exactly, but I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And then he does weird stuff. Like you've seen it in the trailer. If you've seen the trailer, he stomps on a koi that's being eaten by a crow outside of their koi pond. And he says, nothing should suffer. Like,
yeah, I mean, see, that's a good example of how you could go two ways, because that line and that scene makes sense. Like, you would do that if that was your koi fish.
Yeah.
But the way it's played is he's got like the full on Stanley Kubrick eyes. Like he just looks like a psychopath, and he's like, as he's saying it, you could just do it as like flippantly.
Yeah.
Because if you're this rich kid that doesn't care about other people, you just say like, oh, well, nothing should suffer.
Yeah.
Just like, he didn't give it a thought. He didn't even think about like, oh, this is a life.
Yeah, but they were
and
already committed to him being a rapist.
Yeah, I mean, that's a major problem.
Oh, well, you know.
So he's fucking, it's clear that he's fucking with her. He's in her dreams. He shows up, and then he seems to have some sort of knowledge about her dreams after she has them. She's like, hey, did you dream about me last night? She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And so there's this very antagonistic setup for Miles is the bad guy. She's like, hey, I'm going to take you guys into town. They get in the car, they try and head out. The little girl's like, no, don't. He asks her once. Miles says, stop the car. She like lets it roll, not with her foot on the gas or anything. She lets it roll for 5 more inches. And Miles like, you stop or I'll fucking kill you. And it's like, okay. There's just, it's just all over. It's just too far. So then we learn about Quint. He's a ghost because he was
like a groundskeeper
previous to Kate showing up.
He was a bad influence on Miles. He like took him into town to get drunk kind of stuff.
He taught Miles how to rape on the old teacher, whose ghost is also hanging around, both of which are tormenting poor Kate the whole time. And then we begin this weird and confusing series of, is this a dream or is it not a dream events?
Yeah, it does weird, like...
Suddenly, out of nowhere, we're riding a horse. We were in Kate's bedroom, and now we're riding a horse through the maze, chasing Miles around. Where are you, Miles? And then she wakes up, and it's oh, that was a dream.
Yeah, I mean, there's no... It uses that trope, but it doesn't really take advantage of dream logic so much.
No.
Like, it's not...
It's all presented as very factual.
Yeah, it doesn't feel dreamy.
Yeah. The dread
it's
count...
Just like, oh, it's now it's a dream.
Yeah, the dread count on these sheets are very high.
Yeah.
Then there's a hand attack. Like, remember It? I think it's called It from the Addams Family. The little hand that runs around. A bunch of little hands running all over her, and she's freaking out. No, that was a dream. And then there's a false ending that apparently turns out to be a dream. Like she gets the kids in the car, and they're escaping Quint, the ghost of Quint, on the property, and they drive away, and they make it away. But nope, that's a dream. And she wakes up.
It's almost like when they shot the movie, they shot it with 2 endings.
Yeah.
And then instead of going like the Clue route where some showings get one ending and some showings get the other, they just went, we'll just put it in. Because there's no transition. It's basically, it ends and then it rewinds to a previous point in the movie.
And then they're like, oh, Kate's lost her mind. She's just like her mom. We all know about her mom. And somehow, and she's just like her. She's crazy. She needs to go to that retard cage.
Yeah, so we've been shitting on it a lot. Let's talk about, just briefly, what did work with it. I really, really like the flashlight sequence.
I don't appreciate them shining flashlights in my fucking eyes. I can't go one movie this month without getting a flashlight shown in my eyes.
So they play a game of hide and seek in the dark, and she's got a flashlight, and when she finds him, she's supposed to shine the light on him. Mm-hmm. It's actually a really effective sequence.
Yeah.
Because she goes into a really creepy area, and then somehow the flashlight is snatched out of her hand, and she's assuming Miles is down there fucking with her. And it's a really cool, like, scene.
It's got high tension
high tension.
Upsetting.
Like you can't see where the light's coming from. It's kind of wandering around. It could be Miles. It could be a ghost. That was really effective to me.
Yeah, some of the jump scares in this really made me jump. Really worked on me a lot and had my heart rate way up. They were pocketed in such a way that I did not expect them. A lot of them were very expected.
Some of the stuff with the ghosts was pretty effective. With Quint's ghost, like the attempted rape by the ghost was a pretty effective scene, I thought. Yeah. The stuff underwater worked really well. So there's a couple underwater scenes where she stumbles across some. I mean, it's super expected jump scare,
dumb to me.
But like it's bones of a movie that could have been better. You know?
Yep. I think the little girl and. I like the acting from the child actors. I like the acting from Kate. She was a very sexy young lady, and she knew how to act.
She actually looks a lot like I was like, is she what's her name? Her eyes, like from her nose up, she looks a lot like Katy Perry or
yeah.
What's that one actress? She was in Elf. She was in New Girl. What's that actress's name?
I don't know.
Who's the New Girl actress?
I don't know.
Zoe
Deschanel. Yeah.
So, kind of reminiscent of Zoe Deschanel.
I apologize.
Turn off Slack, David. You're not working.
Okay.
So, the other part that I think, like, there was times where it worked, but they could have leaned into it a lot more because it would have helped the story, was the power imbalance. These kids are orphans.
Yeah.
But it's never actually explained who's making these decisions for them.
What do you mean? Who's making what decisions?
Like who hired, well, I guess what's her name hired Kate, but like who's the parent for these kids? Like who's the guardian?
It's supposed to be Kate. Yes. And that is unclear at the start because it's like it's assumed.
But she's she's the governess, or like the governess is basically like kind of a nanny / teacher, and she's only hired for Flora. Who is the guardian for Miles? Anyways, that's not here nor there. So the point I'm trying to make is the power imbalance between the hired help and the kids. Sometimes it works pretty well. Like when she tells Miles to like take your plate to the kitchen, you know, Mrs.
And he's like, "Nah, bitch, you ain't my mama."
He's like, that's her job.
Yeah.
Literally, she's paid to do that.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting point because Mrs. Gross, what was her name?
Gross. Yeah.
Miss Gross, like, tells her, and it's an interesting dynamic, is that these kids are born into privilege. This is their life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like rude.
They're thoroughbreds.
It's not rude or impolite for them to...
Can you think of a weirder thing to say about a person? He's a thoroughbred.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean he's severely inbred?
No, thoroughbreds aren't inbred.
Hell yeah, they are. That's how you quick breed for specific traits. Is inbreeding.
Well, no, that's thoroughbred, like, is for like racehorses, right? Like you wouldn't want to fuck up a racehorse. Like you would take account of what their heritage is. Yeah,
but to get there, you're selecting traits and then remating.
If you're a horse expert, let us know.
Richard Dawkins,
how inbred.
I know you're listening. We've had several conversations, so you just set us straight on this. Is Bryce right or am I right?
Yeah, so let us know if thoroughbred horses or thoroughbred racing horses
or dogs
are inbred.
Yeah.
Thoroughbred dogs is another thing.
No, it is not. It's the same process to get there.
Well, thoroughbred dogs are for appearances, and thoroughbred horses are for performance.
No, there's all kinds of hounds that are very specifically bred for not just appearances, but for specific tasks. Dachshunds are bred to be able to fit into badger holes.
Right. All right. Well, someone set us straight. Someone that's a horse expert.
Yes.
One of our female listeners, I'm sure. There's got to be a horse girl that listens to us. So anyways, that power dynamic, there could be a lot of stuff done with that, and they just kind of do a couple scenes with it.
Yeah, it's silly. My final recommendations for this movie, or who might like this, is kids and teens might be in over their heads in terms of scares with this movie, with The Turning. But I think the PG-13 rating makes it for them more than anyone else. If you have a well-refined bullshit-o-meter, I just would stay away from this.
Yeah, I wouldn't run to the theater, but it actually would be a decent date movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on dates in the showing that I went to.
Make out time.
Like younger people. I think there's enough to talk about.
Yeah.
If not just to pick it apart.
Yeah, and it might pique someone's interest in the actual good story upon which it is based, in which case that would be a win for literature and society overall.
Okay, so
with that, let's get into It Came From... Actually, let's get into horror movie news.
This just in.
And I would like to introduce you all to our new newsman, super sexy British voice, Ben Warrington. Welcome, Ben. Yay!
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for the lovely intro.
Yeah, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe your horror experience?
Yeah, my horror experiences started as a child. I decided to stay awake after my bedtime, and The Exorcist was on. My parents went to bed, and that was history. I was completely hooked from the first time I ever saw a horror movie. So I've been involved in this sort of podcasting industry as well for the last year or so. I had my own podcast that I struggled to. I had massive technical difficulties, so I sort of moved on, and now I'm joining up with you guys so that I can still get that juicy gossip every week.
That juicy, sexy podcast gossip going on.
What were your technical difficulties?
It was mainly sound. I remember me and my friend were both crammed around the tiniest coffee table with a laptop that hung over the edges, and we had to rotate the table 360 degrees every time we wanted to speak. So it didn't go very well.
Yeah,
but we got there.
Well, you sound great right now. Are you speaking into like a headset?
No, I'm just on some earphones. So
good.
If it sounds good now, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
Perfect. Yeah.
Well, from your, but I think those are qualified beginnings. Starting off as a little kid watching The Exorcist. My CV seems to be pretty stacked with with horror. Well, nice. So let's hear what you got for us for horror movie news.
Oh, yes. So let's get underway with a nice little birthday congratulations to Matthew Lillard from Scream, if you remember. I saw it on my Twitter feed, and it just took me away because I watched the film last week as well. You know, when he goes, "It really hurts, man," at the end when he's been... and I'm thinking, do you know what? Someone needs to get that guy a beer.
He was also in Eight-Legged Freaks, wasn't he? Was he in that, or was that someone else?
You're thinking of...
No. Yeah.
No, that's David Arquette.
Yeah, David Arquette.
That's right. Okay, never mind.
Who's now a professional wrestler.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Is he? Wow. Okay, so massive congratulations to him. News from a guy called Tom Six, that you may have heard of, as he's created a very nice movie franchise called The Human Centipede.
Oh, I'm only familiar with Tom 1 through 5.
Yes, he was the unlucky sixth child, and he has a new film coming out this year called The Onania Club. That's a trailer for you guys to definitely go and check out.
We'll include it in the post.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few that I've got to recommend. This one, if you are, I would watch it in solitary, and I would make sure that you're close to running water as well, because you're going to need to shower after watching this trailer.
Oh, really? Can you give us a taste of why? Like, what's so disturbing about it?
The premise of the movie is a bunch of women who get sexually aroused by misfortune and death and destruction. And the opening scene of the trailer is a group of middle-aged women, sort of your sort of Sex and the City ladies, you know, the ladies who want everything, and they're all sat in this front room masturbating to footage of 9/11.
Jesus.
Well,
that's the sort of that's the taste of what we've got.
Well, Ben,
right
I've got questions already. First of all, like, what's shocking? What's sounds like a Monday to me.
I was gonna say, I've just pitched that to my girlfriend now, and she's not up for it, but
yeah,
that's fine. So yeah, that's
not into watching the movie or masturbating to 9/11. I'm not clear.
Oh, well, I'd rather not. Say.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's something to keep between you and your internet service provider, isn't it? So that's coming out. It's meant to be this year, but he's having troubles distributing. Shock. So, but the guy's made so much money for IFC Midnight because of the first 3 Human Centipedes. I can't see it not getting the go-ahead for this year. It has finished post-production. Everything's complete. He's literally just waiting for the green light now to distribute. And I don't know if it's going to do a festival run this year or something, but look out for it, guys.
And what's the name of it?
The Onania Club. So that's Onania.
Onania Club.
Onania. Okay.
Huh. Yeah, I think that is the Latin word for masturbation as well. Which
yeah, I was going to say.
But anyway,
onanism is.
Of course. There we go. He's a very clever man, Tom Six. I don't know if you've seen his Twitter. It's him smoking cigar. Look very sophisticated all the time.
Well, he makes movies about stitching people's asses to faces.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
The guy has a sophisticated sense of humor.
He's subtle. It's subtle. Cool.
So next on my list, we have The Organ Donor, which I have been trying to follow ever since I heard about it. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but the new Saw movie coming this year. Have you guys heard about it?
Yeah, I think Chris Rock is doing it. Is that right?
Yes. Chris Rock's writing it with Samuel L. Jackson as a character as well. He plays Chris Rock's dad, who is a detective. Having read all the things I can get my hands on, it seems that this is going to be a reboot with an alternative.
Is it like Is it like a black remake of it?
Yeah, it's one of those spoof movies. No, it's he's completely. Apparently Chris Rock loved the premise, had some ideas of his own, went to Lionsgate and spoke to those guys and said, "Look, I've got this." They absolutely loved it. He has said that there is going to be a little bit of humor in there as well. He said that the other Saw movies lacked that breaking of the fourth wall that he thought that it needed to make it an effective horror movie. So it's going to be really interesting to see. The funny thing as well is they've got a release date of the end of May, and that's because they don't want to go against Halloween Kills in October.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to bring it out earlier. So look forward to that. There should be some trailers dropping soon, and I'm sure we can put them on the website as soon as we get wind of it. But yeah, it's going to be that's going to be what I'm excited about.
That's probably a good call. At first when you said they didn't want to release against Halloween, I thought, well, that's kind of no balls. But then I kind of thought, well, while the Saw is like a staple horror franchise at this point, I really don't think it stands a chance against bringing back a big classic, especially after the success of that the first Halloween 2018 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it tore it up going against. I mean, there's one the following year as well. I can't remember the last one of the trilogy that they're bringing out, but any horror film going against that is asking to flop. So
yeah.
I think it's a clever idea from Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures, but we've got to wait and see, haven't we?
Yes, exactly.
So next on the agenda, it is TV. So I am going off topic a tiny bit, but as soon as I saw it, I thought I have to tell these guys about it.
Sorry, I was just checking something before we go on to the next thing. Like, I just because Chris Rock did. He produced Death at a Funeral. Was that
right? The
remake? Was there like a British version of that?
There was a British version that came out. I think it was in the 80s or 90s, and it was very British humor as well.
Yeah. because both movies are great. I think I've seen both of them, but like I'm wondering if he's going to do kind of that same treatment that he did for Death at a Funeral, where it's like a reboot with a mostly African American cast, and yeah, I mean it worked out really well. So see, that's the thing, like.
Yeah,
there's
the original UK one. Sorry, carry on.
There's a big market for it, especially in the US. Like every once in a while, Kevin Hart will come out with something and it does like surprisingly well. It's like there's such a demand for it that people will go see Tyler Perry movies.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Chris Rock is at the helm.
Yeah, and now with Jordan Peele really blew the doors open for that kind of thing. Just like
definitely.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Next topic.
No, it's fine. No, I found out that the actual original British version came out in 2007, so I'm completely off there. But and quite funnily, I've got a thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about British and US remakes, because over here in the UK, we think you guys suck when it comes to remaking British stuff.
Of course.
And have you seen The Office?
Exactly. Well, that's one. But also, have you seen The Wicker Man?
Are you talking about Nicolas Cage? Who we're going to be reviewing another horror movie starring Nicolas Cage coming up next week or the week after. I'm not sure when it will release. The Color Out of Space, but yeah, the bees, they're stinging my. What does he say? My eyes.
They're in my eyes.
Not the bees.
Not the bees.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will stand behind the American Office. Like it became its own thing, and that is a fantastic show.
It's definitely not. It's definitely strays far from the source material, and Gervais, kills as the original Office manager.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? See, you guys have gotten back at us for taking all of the acting roles that were meant for Americans. So you've got fucking Spider-Man is British now. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, you had Captain Britain. What else? What more do you want?
You got Benedict Cucumber Patch, like, playing every American. And, like, some of these guys don't even have a good American accent. I'm like, come on. Like, Matthew McConaughey isn't available?
The only guy I'll give, like, carte blanche to is Ricky Gervais. He can, in my eyes, he can do no wrong. After Death was one of the best shows I've seen in a decade.
That was a good show. Afterlife, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so carrying on. CBS are bringing out a spin-off of Clarice Starling's origin story from Hannibal. That got released this week. So
did that get released on CBS's streaming deal, or is that on CBS? That's just releasing on CBS as not a live show, but as a TV show.
Yes, I believe so. I would hate to say anything that is untrue at this point about it, but it seems to be that CBS have got a thing in the future ready for this origin story. But I'm confused, because do you think she needs an origin story, considering I just don't know what I think about
this. This is Clarice.
Yeah,
Clarice Starling. Yeah. Hello, Clarice.
Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting. Well, I mean, I guess Silence of the Lambs was kind of. That was kind of her first case, wasn't it? Didn't she come right out of the academy? Was that how it started?
Well, yeah.
Or am I wrong?
Yes. Yeah, I think it was one of her. I mean, she was definitely fresh, but also, I mean, the title of the movie is Silence of the Lambs, which refers to her childhood, right?
Yeah. So maybe it's just a bunch of spooky stuff happens in her childhood.
It's just a bunch of lambs.
or it could be just a really normal life. And
sheep farm, yeah.
Just she was really good in school, and they're going to make a show about that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to look forward to that. As soon as I have more news on that, I'm sure I'll update you guys on it straight away.
Yeah.
Next, we have Don't Breathe 2, which will begin filming in April, with the writer of the first movie taking the helm as director of the second. So hide your turkey basters there.
Did Bryce, did you see Don't Breathe?
I haven't seen Don't Breathe yet. I've heard a lot of like mixed reactions to it.
Yeah, it's kind of in my opinion, it's kind of a meh. Have you seen it, Ben?
I have indeed, yes.
And what did you think?
I liked it because it was part of a sort of series of movies that tried on the senses.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And I like that concept. I love it.
Yeah, and it was in terms of that, it was, I think, maybe the first that was dealing with, or at least the first released. It may not have been the first announced or worked on, but I think it was the first release that was like heavy on the be quiet or don't be seen or whatever it is.
Yeah, because you've got A Quiet Place, you've got Hush, you've got obviously this one as well, where it's a Bird Box as well with Sight.
Yeah.
So you've got this collection of movies there that all are in this blanket term, and this will be after A Quiet Place Part 2 that comes out at the end of this month in the UK, will be another sequel in those group of movies. So it'll be interesting to see where the genre goes with it, because there's only so much of that they can do. And half of me thinks it's a way to get the books in, but half of me is interested to see what we're going to get there. So yeah, I'm down. I'm excited. I don't know about you two.
Yeah, I'd be excited to see where it goes. It has potential.
Can't wait till they come out with a don't taste movie. You can only eat bland food, or else the monster will get you.
Well, that was some of the original Saws. I think had some of that that going on.
It's also Tom Six's next movie after the Ononia Club as well. So next we have 1031. Which is executively produced by Eli Roth. He said that it's a slasher movie that's going to compete with Halloween. So,
oh wow,
he's coming. His arms are swinging straight away. He's going full Conor McGregor on this one. There is a director at the helm for this one as well. Her name is Gigi Guerrero. She directed a film called Culture Shock, and then she also did the second season of the Purge TV show on Amazon Prime. So she's got a pretty good CV, I'd say. Resume.
Uh-huh.
I thought you said TV.
CV. The other day I was just watching Inglourious Bastards, and I had forgotten that Eli Roth was in that. He was
the Bear Jew.
Yeah, I think he was the Bear Jew. Yeah.
Do you know who originally was cast to be the Bear Jew?
No, who?
Adam Sandler.
No way.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would have been great too.
I know. It would have been awesome.
What would be hilarious is as he goes to hit him on the head with the baseball bat, just goes, just tap it in. Give it a little tap, tap, tap.
Give it a little tap, tap, tap.
As his head just So, yeah, I mean, again, pretty. There's not a lot to go on at the minute. We're just, sort of pissing in the wind at the minute to try and find out what's going on. But there has been some names. There has been some dropping of Eli Roth. So we'll see where that goes. Any of you two fans of Slipknot?
Yes. Big fan. I was just listening. I was just listening last night. They have
a metal thing.
Yes. I was just listening last night. They had a new. I think it's a new single. I sent it to my brother, and he said, "Are you reading my mind?" I was listening to this song at the exact same time. I'll try and find it while you're doing your story on Slipknot.
Currently they're touring in the UK, and a few of my friends went to go see them. One of them got a broken nose in the process, which was nice. But him, do you know Corey Taylor, the lead singer, and
Yes.
Tom Zavine, who designs the masks for them?
Yeah.
They've both gotten together and they have written a screenplay for a horror movie, and they're looking for production this year.
Oh, damn.
So that's going to be interesting. If I had money that I could go and splash on a movie that was written by people, then I would definitely be splashing money on this.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, what goes on in that brain of those two people as well?
Yeah, I was thinking about them yesterday as I was listening to it. It wasn't a new song. My apologies. I found it. It's just on a single called All Out Life, I should say. And I was thinking about them. They've been around for 25 years, pretty much unchanged. I mean, Joey Jordison, the drummer, had to resign due to, I think, a neurological disorder. He was one of the best metal drummers out there, but otherwise, like, their lineup hasn't changed very much. They have like 9 members, so it's a testament to like their staying power. They've been hanging around.
How would you know, though? Because they wear the masks.
Right. It's a good point.
They could be completely switched out. They could just say it's this. Oh, it's totally the same guy.
Yeah. Well, the Joey Jordison, the drummer, and Corey Taylor, I'm sure are the same people just because their talent is very obvious. But everybody else, yeah, sure, whatever.
So, yeah, that's something that we're going to look forward to this year. And also, the last thing I have on my news list is for something for Andy Muschietti, the director of It's Chapter 1 and 2. What do you guys think of It Chapter 1 and 2? Just because I want to see the contrast of what we thought over here and what you guys think.
I mean, it was good. The first one was better than the second one. Wasn't like fantastic. I mean, as far as like a big budget horror movie, I think It Chapter 1 is like a great example of
knocks it out of
what
the
can
park.
be done.
Yeah.
Chapter 2 got a little too into the, we got to stack all the stories together. Yeah. It was kind of like too many vignettes and not a lot of tying it together.
Yeah.
But
the wheels sort of fell off towards the end, I thought. But it was it's solid. It's solidly made. And this guy, Andy Muschietti, has been called upon to remake The Howling, which is coming to Netflix.
Man.
So that's going to be, I don't know what you feel about that. Have you seen The Howling?
Yeah, I actually just rewatched it about a month ago. I paid money to rewatch it, and I was not let down. This is not a movie that needs to be remade. I mean, just the puppetry is, you're not going to outdo it. You're just going to replace it with a bunch of CGI, and if they do puppetry, great. But if they don't, man, they got a hill to climb. That's one of the best, like one of the best examples of like solid,
practical effects. And not only that, but like turning one of the Universal monsters into something that's actually horrifying. Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know. I don't know why that's a big challenge to make that better.
Remember when Universal was trying to make the Universal Monsters movie universe? Yeah, with
the Tom Cruise mummy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mission Impossible mummy.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Oh, I mean, I hate to see where they're going to go with the rest of that Universal, but
I think they're done with it.
I
think that cinematic universe is aborted.
Stake through the heart on that one.
Yeah, I just hope someone got a good telling off in an office somewhere where, the interns come in and say, "Hey, I've got a great idea. Let's remake the Mummy." And then they've dragged him back in after the sales figures have come in and they've gone, "You're going to have to pack your desk, mate, because this is..."
Yeah, no kidding.
Apparently, no one's been clamoring for a Mummy movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is a shock to all of us.
I can just watch a Brendan Fraser Mummy over and over again.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me.
Whatever happened to Brendan Fraser as well? I mean...
there was a big groundswell a couple of years ago to get him back on top, but that kind of died.
Well, I think the answer is he got fat and bald. So Hollywood seems to... I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if Hollywood might be a superficial industry. Because it seems like there's not a lot of older women or, like, unattractive people.
Yeah.
Think about the least attractive person that's a regular Hollywood actor.
Steve Buscemi.
And he's still pretty good looking.
That is so, like, Steve. If you're
to put Steve Buscemi up against like a normal schlub, you'd be like, oh well, yeah, he's much better looking.
What?
Like, I mean, if you put Steve Buscemi next to Brad Pitt, if you're like, oh, what a ugly dude. But I mean, if you were to put Steve Buscemi up against like,
okay, Ron Howard's
my
brother.
Dad,
Ron Howard's brother.
Okay, yeah. Clint Howard is probably the closest to a real-looking person.
What about Gary Busey? Put Gary Busey.
I mean, older Gary Busey. Yeah, you got something there.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Yeah, but young Busey he was not a bad looking dude, especially pre a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, I mean, I'd fuck him.
Yes, I might have to double team. So some trailers. So I've got to move on so quickly from saying that. So some trailers that I've come across this week. Sticking with the werewolf theme, there is a trailer for Hunter's Moon, which is a new one from Lionsgate. Don't know if you guys have seen it.
No, I haven't heard of it.
Interesting. No, I'll send it over to you guys after this, and you can have a look and probably tweet something out, and we can put it down. But yeah, it looks interesting. It might be it's something that's already been done, obviously, as we just spoke about Howling like 2 minutes ago. But it's a new werewolf flick, and there's some stuff going on. So I'll send that over to you. And The Boy 2. Oh, The Boy 2. Our pal Brahms. Have you seen The Boy 1?
I haven't seen The Boy 1, but we should probably watch it before The Boy 2 comes out. That'll be a relatively good big release.
I don't know
this year.
Anything about this.
It will get theatrical, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
Oh, just watch The Boy. What I think it's on Netflix. I'm unsure, but just watch The Boy and tell me what you think about just the trailer for The Boy 2, because there's going to be some things going on in your head that I want to listen to.
Cool. All right.
A new one.
Oh, I have seen
Blood
that.
Quantum.
Yeah, I have seen that. That's
with
the one
Brahms
with the
doll.
Yeah, with and he's kind of like a little ventriloquist doll, or like a doll, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. I have seen that one. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't want to obviously spoilers, so I wouldn't say anything about the actual movie, but they take the premise of The Boy 2, and it seems like they've gone completely different with it.
Okay.
And
Nice.
I don't know how it's going to work out, but it's one of those things where it looks like a money train again, but I can't say anything that I've not seen yet. So the next one, Blood Quantum. I don't know if you've heard of this one. It's been out for over a year. I think it's done some festival runs and it's done really well. So it's going to get a release this year. A film based on Indian burial grounds, which is another one that we need. But this combines the trope of the Indian burial ground with another trope of zombies. So a zombie virus decimates all of Earth's population except a tribe community of Red Crow. So
wow.
It's a Canadian film, but it's done quite well at festivals. It was part of the Fantastic Seven at the Cannes Film Market last year. So it's and I think it's coming to Shudder. So
man, that would be a great movie if it was a zombie movie of the undead Native Americans.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And just like have a bunch of zombie Indians getting revenge.
Native Americans, First Nation.
Sorry. Zombie First Nation peoples that take revenge on the colonialists.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Or modern day.
Yeah.
Modern day revenge.
I think we should have a side, like a sound bite that we have to press every time we mention a better plot between ourselves and the actual film itself, because that is so much better than the actual plot. I think that's incredible.
I think I come up with so many tasteless movie ideas for horror movies that some of them are so tasteless that I can't share them. But I mean, there's just so many opportunities.
Masturbating to 9/11 or anything like that, or
yeah, probably on that level. So I mean, maybe I should just get Tom Six to cover some of them. Cool.
So Bryce is now Tom 7, and the last one that I've got on my trailer list is Guns Akimbo, Daniel Radcliffe and Samara Weaving. Who,
is she in it?
I'm sure we all love her, don't we? She's had a 2019 to remember.
See, I let this trailer slip by me. My wife watched it and she wasn't impressed. She said it looked like it could be pretty bad, but I'll reserve my judgment until I actually watch it.
I mean, the way to sum it up for you would be Daniel Radcliffe, So Harry Potter has guns for hands. That's all it is. Okay. That's all it is.
I've seen that movie. It's called Tetsuo, I think. Yeah, something like that. Or Tetsuo the Bullet Man, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. That's everything I've got for the news segment.
Hey, let's hear it for Ben Warrington.
Thanks, Ben.
Yay!
Thank you very much, guys.
Expect to hear him back here next time for horror movie news.
Well, maybe not next time, because next time's probably going to be Color Out of Space that we're recording right after
Right,
this.
the next time we have horror movie news.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks, Ben.
Thank you very much, Ben.
No worries, guys. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
And now...
So that was awesome. Thanks, Ben, for blah, 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 blah. Yeah. We just did horror movie news. We did not splice it in at all.
Yeah, hooray! And now, the moment I've been waiting for, it came from social media.
Yes, it came from social media. To fill the world with terror, to bring you unforgettable suspense. What was it? Where did it come from? Who were the all-powerful creatures it brought from social media? And what did they want on Earth?
I simply am not there.
That's not true. I'm actually there all the time. I'm looking at Facebook. I'm looking at Twitter. I'm looking at our Patreon. If you guys want to talk to us all the time, get on Patreon. We talk to those motherfuckers like it's going out of style. So anyway, so first in It Came to Social Media, we love to talk to you guys. If you reach out to us, we'll talk about it on the show. We'll talk to you we'll talk to you until you want us to stop, and then we'll keep talking.
And if you have any questions, send them to us either on Twitter or Facebook. We'll probably answer you, but we'll also answer it on the air. So if there's anything that you want us to talk about.
First order of business, Tara Westwood, who plays Fiona Landers, and we've mentioned in a few previous episodes. In the 2020 Grudge, she plays Fiona Landers. She has agreed to do an interview with us, so hooray! That's pretty cool. It's going to be in an upcoming episode, I think. So we're going to be reviewing Color Out of Space.
I don't know if it'll be in that one.
Yeah, it might be in Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, I don't want to say definitively when it's going to be, but in an upcoming episode, we'll have our first real star talent interview.
Yeah.
So the only interview we've had before was the guy that was the producer of the In Search of Darkness doc, and I don't even know if that's out yet.
It is. I got mailed a copy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago. So check out Tara Westwood at Ms. Tara Westwood on Twitter, and make sure to follow her and thank her for agreeing to do an interview with us. We sure do appreciate it.
She's also on the Grum, and
the Grum.
She posts a lot of stuff on the Grum, so follow her there as well.
Yeah. So our next order of business is Twitter user at XDevilHoundX on Twitter, who I believe also goes by Daywalker on our site, said on our Terrified review. Terrified was an Argentinian horror movie from 2017, I believe, that was awesome. He said, "What a hidden gem this movie was. Heard you guys mention this in other episodes and wanted in on the fun. Love it when these nobody titles are more enjoyable than big budget Hollywood stuff. As someone who came out of the womb watching horror flicks, this was a breath of fresh air." Great work, guys. I totally agree. Anytime
this is one of the favorite movies that we've reviewed for David.
Yeah, this is one of these ones where I just went into it kind of just didn't care. I was like, whatever, and then was so surprised at how impressive it was, just in terms of what it set out to do, which is just scare the fucking pants off you.
Also, this surprisingly one of the most successful posts on our website.
Yeah,
gets the most traffic.
Yeah, by a good amount. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it attracts a lot of Spanish speaking or international traffic to our site. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so thank you, XDevilHoundX on Twitter, for reaching out to us. We sure do appreciate, just talking to you. Our buddy Greg from We Shouldn't Be Here YouTube channel just recently released his first horror short, and goddamn, it's actually pretty legit. I watched it. It's only like 10-13 minutes, something like that. I'll link to it in the post on our website, horrormovietalk.com, for this episode. His channel has grown a huge amount in the year since he was on our show. So kudos to him and his new horror short. It's pretty good. Like, I think
how many followers does
he got? 50K on YouTube. Pretty crazy.
We
man.
just passed 100. So
on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah, big deal.
So that was a big news for us, because once you pass 100 followers, you can claim your vanity URL.
Yeah.
So if you want to go to our YouTube channel, go to youtube.com/horror movie talk. You can find us.
So, and then finally, we have Leah S., who reached out to us on Facebook and is a fellow SEO person, just like Bryce and, to a lesser extent, myself, and also horror movie connoisseur. She offered to write a blog for us, and we're always excited when people want to write blogs for us. She said, "Hey, I'm loving the podcast. Thanks for giving horror fans a wonderful podcast that's insightful and enjoyable. I've listened to many, and they are pure cringe. I'm elated to hear all your work in SEO, that you all work in SEO as myself." She also says, favorite horror movie. We asked her what her favorite horror movie was. That's kind of our opening line, because it kind of gives us an idea of where to start with you. She says hers is, I know it's cliche, but Halloween. However, that was because I fell upon it. When renting VHS were a thing, my mother would sit down and force me to watch horror trilogies. It started with The Exorcist. I watched all 3 on a Sunday morning. I don't know who these parents are who insist that their kids watch horror movies. My mom was like, no, we can't infest your mind with this horrible stuff. But
my kids are like traumatized when they watch Disney movies.
Okay, we like an hour ago we were upstairs, and your oldest daughter, who is 6 or 7, something.
Yeah.
And she was wailing, crying because they had played a song that had a sad ending. And she was beside herself. The sweetest little
Erin was
girl.
like, Erin wanted to introduce them to Puff the Magic Dragon, and she's like, "Oh, this is a nice song." You know, I mean, we sang in an elementary school, so I mean, this is a song that we'd sing in elementary school. You know, this old Peter, Paul, and Mary song, and Erin just said, "Oh, I forgot about the 3rd verse." Because it tells a story of this kid's magical dragon that he had adventures with. And then, let's see, this is the 3rd verse. A dragon lives forever, but not so, little boys. Painted wings and giant rings make way for other toys. One gray night it happened. Jackie Paper came no more, and Puff, that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Puff no longer went to play along the cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave, so Puff, that mighty dragon, sadly slipped into his cave. And then the chorus.
And then Penny Hansen proceeded to wail and cry. You know,
it's a really sad, bittersweet song.
Someone who's super innocent and lovely would do.
So these parents that show their kids the fucking Exorcist.
Yeah, that's
you start them out, you wean them off the teat with crucifix masturbation.
We can't be too hard on these parents because they gave us great people like Leah S.
I love the assumingly damaged adults that listen to us.
But it's hard to imagine.
Channeling Jerry Seinfeld, who are these people that show their kids these fucking horrific horror movies?
What's the deal with horror movies? Yeah, it's interesting to me. I can't imagine. Showing stuff to my kids, but I'm glad they do, because I'm sure those are the people like Stephen King who end up doing really great stuff in horror.
Yeah.
So it takes all kinds, and thank you very much, Leah S. We're looking forward to your blog, and with that, that's the show, you guys.
Well, actually, we should probably mention our new patrons.
Oh, yes, my apologies.
So we've got 2 new patrons this week. For some reason, like we've been following over ourselves with new patrons, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, if you guys choose to become a patron of the show, we're going to treat you as horror movie talk royalty, basically. We're going to fawn over you. We're going to love you. Let me see here. Who is our latest?
So we got Craig J, and the other one is, hold on. So we got Paul M.
Yeah.
And Craig J. So I'm trying to remember who each is. Just a second. So there's one thing that blows my fucking mind. Like, I think it's Paul M. Yes. Okay. So Paul M. He joined the podcast, and one of the regular things I asked is like, hey, how long you've been listening? How did you find us? What's your favorite horror movie? That's kind of the intro, because it's like, I'm curious where they found us, where we're getting like our really loyal listeners that are reaching out to us, especially our patrons, and then like, what's their taste? Paul, he joined this week, and he said he found us on Reddit, our post about Crawl, which was
last week.
This last week's post.
Yeah.
He joined Patreon the week he found us. He listened to one episode, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll support these guys.
Yeah, we really appreciate that very much, Paul.
Blows my... I mean, I don't know. The mental block is what gets me. Like, $5 or $6 is not a big deal in your monthly budget.
Right.
Really? Like, it shouldn't really be a thing. But
Especially
there's such a mental block with like podcasts and like streaming stuff that
it should be free.
It should be free. Yeah. And it's bad to ask for money because, you should be legit, or like you should
sell out.
Yeah. Don't sell out or whatever. But it's like, yeah, we put, 10, 20 hours a week into this podcast. So anyways, Paul, thank you so much for supporting not just us, but podcasts in general. He's patron for several podcasts, and he really likes our stuff and likes the casual format of the show.
Yeah, and then Craig had a lot of really great suggestions for us to watch. I'm not much of an Italian horror movie. I just haven't watched many. I'm working my way through a few right now, but he had a lot of that is his taste, and he's from across the pond. He's from over in the somewhere in the British Isles. I'm not going to disclose.
I think his. Okay, we're not going to disclose where.
No, because what if fans erupt through the streets and like try and break down his door?
If they find every Craig whose last name starts with J,
right?
Well, I'll say he's from, at least his profile says he's from Edinburgh, Scotland.
God damn it!
Which is fantastic place. I've visited there before. They have like one of the coolest castles.
My brother said the same thing. He's
Edinburgh
like, if
Castle
you're going to go someplace,
so
you got to check out Edinburgh. Or maybe it wasn't my brother. Maybe it was my friend Matt. But yeah.
Like going on international travel. Like when you think about castles, you're like, oh, cool, a castle, and then you go and it's like, this is kind of just a building on a hill. Mm-hmm. Edinburgh Castle is exactly what you expect a castle to be.
That's cool.
It's like really awesome. And it has like the dungeon.
And the city itself seems like it's laid out in a very labyrinthian and cool way.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
all cobblestones all over the place.
Scotland's great. So thanks to Craig.
Thanks, Craig. All right. And with that, that's the end of the show. Make sure you guys share this with a friend. Share it on your social media feed, and that increases our reach quite a bit, and we always appreciate it. I will always personally seek you out, like your stuff, and we just appreciate anytime you share the podcast with friends, family, or just your social media. Also, if you can rate us on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, that goes a long way in helping the show. We're climbing the charts. We are doing better than a lot of our competition.
And I'm going to say again, our goal is to get to 200, like pretty quick. Like
200 ratings. Yeah.
March or April would be nice to get 200. So keep those streaming in. If you haven't and you have an Apple Podcast device, please like take 2 minutes and leave us a rating.
Yeah, and if you'd like to support the show, make sure you head on over to our website, horrormovietalk.com, click through the green button that says buy stuff on Amazon, and then just bookmark that. And anytime you have to purchase something from Amazon, kitty litter or condoms, massive butt plugs, anytime you purchase anything on Amazon, just use that link and we'll get a little taste of that butt plug. Special thanks to Ben Warrington. Thank you very much, Ben, for hopping on board and reading our news, and also, of course, our new and existing Patreon members. We love you guys. And with that, we'll see you next week. We love you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye. I was so excited to use you for your body.
Right.